Hello, this is Teacher Bean. Welcome to my channel. Today, let us talk about earthquakes and faults. What is an earthquake and what is a fault? May I ask you, what is an earthquake? Your answer may be lindol or linog. Yes, it is linog or lindol. But have you experienced an earthquake? Yes, all of us experience an earthquake. What is an earthquake? It is shaking of land. It is very good. Shaking of land. But in science, an earthquake is a sudden slip on a fault. What does it mean? Meaning to say, there is a quake, there is a shaking of land if the fault will slip. We will talk about this one, the earthquake made by a fault. Let us focus first the earthquake caused by a fault. Yes, there is an earthquake if there is a sudden slip on a fault. Yung biglang mag-slide yung fault, it can cause an earthquake. Remember, if there is a sudden slip and a fault, but the question is, what is a fault? What is fault? It is mali. Yes, it can be mali. But it is a crack of a land. When you say crack, meaning crack, naibitak ang land. So, in science, fault is a weak point in the tectonic plate where pressure in the crust is released. Remember how fault is a weak point in the tectonic plate where pressure in the crust is released. If there are pressure in the crust, there is an earthquake or there is a shaking of an land. Yung doon sa crack, if there are pressure on it, the release on it, there is an earthquake. But where does an earthquake start? Where? Where does an earthquake start? It starts in focus. What is focus? Focus is of an earthquake is the point where the rocks start to fracture. It is the origin of an earthquake. This one, the, this is a focus. This is where there is a sudden slip here, and this is the focus. This is the point where the rocks start to fracture, and it is the origin of the earthquake. Next. But if there is an earthquake, some said, well, where is the epicenter? Have you heard that one? That where is the epicenter of that earthquake? Yes, the epicenter, it is the point on the Earth's surface vertically above the focus or point in the crust where seismic rupture begins. This one is a focus. Can you remember the focus? Focus is the origin of an earthquake. There is a sudden slip here. This one. And above that one, the vertically above the focus, this is called as epicenter. Remember how? Above the focus is the epicenter. Remember the epicenter is the point on the ground directly above the focus. Remember, a fault is a weak point in the tectonic plate where pressure within the crust is released. Yeah, that's clear. Remember, this is a fault, and this is the focus, and this is the epicenter. Next, hanging wall and fault wall. What is hanging wall and what is fault wall? Have you heard that one, hanging wall and fault wall? Yes. Hanging wall, it is the block of rock that lies above an inclined fault or an ore body. The fault wall, the block which would be under the feet of a person standing in a tunnel or fault plane, or the rock located below the ore body. We will discuss this one more on the types of fault movement. There are four types of fault movements. One is normal fault. When you say normal fault, the hanging wall drops relative to the fault wall. So, meaning to say, this is a hanging wall and this is the fault wall. Can you remember the fault wall where you can stand your feet on the ground? So, pag tatayo ka rito, dito yung paa mo, banda. So, meaning, ito yung fault wall. So, the normal fault movement, the hanging wall drops relative to the fault wall. Clear. Next, reverse fault. The reverse fault, the hanging wall moves up relative to the fault wall. The hanging wall, ito yung hanging wall moves up relative to the fault wall. So, saan ito? Ito yung fault wall, ito yung hanging wall. Move pataas. Okay, that is reverse fault. Next one is the strike-slip fault. The strike-slip fault is a fracture in the rocks. Masses slip past one another parallel to the strike. So ito, instead na pababa siya, pag ganun siya yung movement niya, strike-slip fault. The movement is in parallel. Kita nyo, this one? Okay. This one papunta rito and this one, the hanging wall and the fault wall papunta siya rito and this siya papunta roon. So this is called a strike-slip fault. The movement is in parallel. The other one is an oblique fault. Oblique fault has a component of dip slip and strike slip. So, meaning, yung either the normal fault, either it moves pataas or pababa, but in this situation, the hanging wall drops, but it moves parallel. So that is why they are called an oblique fault. O, tingnan nyo. This one, the hanging wall drops and it moves parallel to the fault wall. So they are called as oblique fault. So I will repeat. Normal fault, the hanging wall drops. In reverse fault, the hanging moves up. The hanging wall moves up. The strike slip fault, the movement of the fault is in parallel. Palinya siya din, opposite side. So, papunta siya rito. The fault wall papunta rito. The hanging wall papunta roon. Okay? This one, the oblique fault, the hanging wall moves, drops, and it moves parallel. So, that is oblique fault. Next. Have you heard how strong is an earthquake? Diba sinabi, uy, how strong it is. There are two how to measure an earthquake. They are called intensity and magnitude. When you call about intensity, it is a measure of an earthquake determined from the observed effects, especially damage. So meaning intensity based on damage. Magnitude, a number that characterizes the relative size of an earthquake. Okay. Remember, intensity is the damage, but the magnitude is the characterized by the size of an earthquake. Modified Mercalli intensity scale. Okay, this is how to identify the intensity. Intensity 1, not felt except by a very few under especially favorable conditions. So dili masyado maramdaman, not felt. Intensity 2, felt only by a few persons at rest, especially on upper floor of buildings. Intensity 3, felt quite noticeably by persons indoors, especially on upper floors of buildings. Standing motor cars may rock slightly. Yung paduyan-duyan, pero slight, medyo slight. Intensity 4, felt indoors by many, outdoors by few during the day. At night, some awaken, dishes, windows, doors disturb, wall make cracking sounds, standing motor cars rock noticeably. Intensity 5, felt by nearly anyone. Many awaken, some dishes, windows broken, unstable objects overturned. Intensity 6, felt by all, mainly frightened. Some heavy furniture moves slight damage. Intensity 7, negligible damage in buildings of good design and construction. Slight to moderate in well-built ordinary structures. Considerable damage in poor built structures. Intensity 8, slight damage in specially designed structures, considerable damage in ordinary substantial buildings with partial collapse, damage great in poorly built structure, fall of columns, monuments, walls, heavy furniture overturned. Intensity 9, considerable damage in specifically designed structure, damage great in substantial buildings with partial collapse, buildings shifted off foundations. Intensity 10, some well-built wooden structures destroyed, most masonry and frame, structure destroyed with foundation rails bent. Those are the modified Mercalli based on intensity, meaning the damage based on damage. But in our country, the practice is more on the magnitude, Richter magnitude scale. So meaning there is a machine to um, there is a machine, a Richter magnitude scale. So meaning it's 0.22 never felt. So 2.9, 3, 3 to 3.9, 4 to 4.9, 5 to 5.9, 6 to 6.9, 7 to 7.9, 8, 8.9, 9, 9.9, okay, and 10. Okay, last year we experienced most of the earthquake. Can you remember that one when you are in grade 7? Yes, there is a sunod-sunod na earthquake, and that is the base of the magnitude. Ano yung pinakamataas na magnitude yung naramdaman rin sa Tagum? Okay. May I ask, is there a fault in Tagum City? Okay, makikita natin yan mamaya. Oh, the question is, do you live near an active fault? O ang Tagum City ba? Near an active fault? May active fault ba dito malapit sa Tagum City? Okay, how we identify an active fault? An active fault is one that has moved in the past and expected to move again. Put in another way, an active fault has generated earthquakes before and is capable of causing more in the future. And this is the distribution of active faults and trenches in the Philippines. So, hanapin ninyo ang Tagum City dyan. Kung meron bang active fault. So, dito banda yung, saan banda yung Tagum dito? O, hanapin nyo yung lugar ninyo. So, Tagum. Asa banda yung Tagum? So, wala tayong active fault. Kaya, di ba, pag may news, walang nagkaroon ng epicenter dito sa Tagum because walang active fault dito, walang fault dito sa Tagum City. Okay. Questions? Yes, what is tsunami? Have you heard about tsunami? Okay, yes. Pag there is an earthquake, di ba? Pag sinabi, merong tsunami. Okay, what is tsunami? Tsunami, a series of waves caused by an earthquake or undersea volcanic eruption. So meaning, if the focus is under the sea, remember if the focus is under the sea, there is a tendency to have a tsunami or undersea volcanic eruption. Is there any questions? Don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. This is Teacher Bing. Okay, this is an example of a tsunami. Sana dili tayo makaranas niyan dito sa Philippines. Thank you and God bless. Don't forget to subscribe. Teacher Bing, Annalie. Okay. Bakit tayo laging may earthquake? Have you heard that we are experience always in the Philippines an earthquake? Why? Because we belong to Pacific Ring of Fire. Thank you and God bless. Don't forget to subscribe, Teacher Bing.